Divorced. I was married. When we were together, we adopted 3 deaf children. And kind of how we met them was a fascinating story. At that time, we envisioned, starting a family. We were thinking about maybe adopting a baby at some point, and then we thought we'd wait a couple years and then adopt a second. We sort of had a progression about it, but in actuality, what happened was completely different. And one night, my husband at the time was, we were talking about how we wanted to start a family, and we wanted to adopt a deaf child. And my husband said, if you want to adopt a deaf child, mother's pregnant, you don't necessarily know the baby's deaf, you're not going to be able to identify that at the time. You got to wait till the baby's born, and then you identify that they're deaf. And so he said, why don't we kind of open up our thinking about this, consider maybe fostering, and then on the road to adopting a deaf child. And I thought that would be a great idea. So that was Sunday night, we had that conversation. Monday morning, I got into an airplane with some folks that I was working with, and it just so happened that I mentioned to my supervisor at the time, hey, last night my husband and I were talking, and we're thinking about fostering, maybe adopting a deaf child. We're thinking maybe in the 3, 4, 5 age range. And my supervisor said, oh my gosh, I just met 3 deaf children. They are ages 3, 4, and 5. I met them at the bulk store down the road. So 3 kids at the same time, and it was really unexpected. We were originally thinking, starting 1, and 3 came to us all at once. That was just an amazing thing. So we became curious about this idea about who these 3 deaf children were. And the foster mother at the time, I happened to know her sister, so I got in touch and said, hey, I heard, there might be 3 deaf children that are looking for a permanent family. And she said, yeah, so we got connected. Deaf community is really close, small. It's easy to make those connections. So that happened in October, and the foster mother was saying, hey, you're welcome to come to my home and visit these 3 deaf children. And so we set up a visit by November. And I remember that day clearly. It had been raining, and the rain had cleared out, and so the ground was wet, but it was no longer raining. And I met the 3 kids, and I just fell in love. I saw something special in their eyes, and all of them were signing with each other, and they were signing with 3 other deaf kids that were at their house, their foster siblings. So they were all signing together and playing, and both parents were signing with all the kids. And these 3 had just entered the School for the Deaf at Fremont. And you could really just see the language in them start to grow, their identities, their relationships. And so we met them, we were able to talk, and really just fell in love that day. My partner and I knew that we wanted to adopt them. Yeah, when we envisioned starting a family, we knew that at least one of the children that we wanted would be deaf. And other than that, really, we didn't have any other specifics. We thought, maybe we'd go for 2 kids, but we ended up with 3 deaf children. And, kind of going from having no children to becoming a father of 3 overnight, it was quite a big thing. But it felt important to me. I grew up as a deaf person in a hearing family, and was always wondering what it would be like to have a deaf child, and deaf parents and deaf children having that bond together. I always wondered what that would be like.